Next on Westmoreland Saturday morning, it's Heritage Happenings brought to you by St. Vincent College here on 98.7 Westmoreland Gold, 1480 WCNS, and westmorelandgold.net.
Greetings, Westmoreland County. My name is Jessica Petrovich, and I am your Discover Westmoreland Director and host of Heritage Happenings here on 98.7 Westmoreland Gold, 1480 WCNS, and westmorelandgold.net, sponsored by St. Vincent College. Heritage Happenings is also available as a podcast on all of your favorite streaming services. Please check out Westmoreland Heritage at westmorelandheritage.org and on social media for updates on cultural and historical events throughout Westmoreland County. We have an excellent show planned for you today. We will be joined by guests from Westmoreland County Parks and Recreation, Jacobs Creek Watershed Association, and the Scottdale Historical Society. Our first guest, Ian Uhouse, Vice President of the Scottdale Historical Society, is on call with us this morning. Ian, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Good morning, Jessica. It's great to be back on here with you. This has been kind of our fall tradition over the last several years.
Yes, it is. And it's coming up on 4 years of talking to you at this time of year, which is so special. And I want to first ask you about the Scottdale Historical Society's incredible event series called Shadows of Scottdale. It is now in full swing. So, Ian, please talk to us about the history of this event and then how our eager listeners can attend this year.
Our Shadows of Scottdale history tours, downtown horror tours, macabre tours, depending on how you want to put it. But they're not necessarily ghost stories. These are all based on true factual bits of information that happened within Scottdale and maybe just on the outskirts of town, all pre-1940. So all of this information, it's all been researched by members of our Historical Society board, looking at old newspaper clippings, census records, whatever means that we can find necessary just to help put some of these pieces together of these stories.
Yes, this is a very fact-based tour. This is not just a random group of citizens making up scary stories around the campfire. This is very well-researched, well-intentioned history and storytelling, which it makes this really, really special, and I think why it's so popular.
Yes, so some of these stories that we have researched, and this year on the tour, our guests can expect to hear up to 8 stories from our tour guide, and we will revisit a couple of our more popular stories, and one is in regards to the Pine Tree Blast.
Ooh.
And those that have participated in the tour in the past may have heard this story once before, but it deals with a group of young individuals who thought it would be a good idea to use their newly acquired hunting rifle for target practice at an off-site location within Scottdale's community boundaries. So that's one of the first stories that you'll hear, because it actually kind of happens at where our meetup space is, which is actually at the Bad Rabbit Cafe right in downtown Scottdale. And that's where our guests will want to go to check in for the tours themselves.
That's a nice central location, too. That way, even if you're not familiar with the Scottdale area, it's right in the middle of everything.
Yes, absolutely. And, we're asking our tour guests to, visit, show up a little bit early. It gives you a chance to get a, coffee drink from the folks at Bad Rabbit. We actually include a simple cup of coffee or hot chocolate as part of your admission price. And these tours, before I forget to tell you, they actually are taking place on Friday and Saturday evenings, beginning October 21st and 22nd, and then the 28th and 29th. So right as we're getting into that spookier time of the season, we have these very fun walking tours that will take roughly about an hour to go through.
And Ian, remind me, what's the cost for going on the tour per person?
Yes, so our ticket costs are $15 a person, and you can purchase those tickets through our website at ScottdaleHistoricalSociety.com, and you just show up with the ticket on your mobile device, and we will get you checked into the tour, and we get out on our way. Tour times start at 7, 7:30, and 8 p.m., and it's really a great time.
And so with the ticketing, this is such a popular event, and is this something that you can show up to and purchase a ticket on site, or do you absolutely need to purchase ahead of time?
We do recommend that you purchase in advance, ahead of time, just because we do keep the tour groups limited, just so it's not too overcrowded, so people can really hear our tour guides tell the stories easily.
Absolutely.
And so we're just not having to shout over a large crowd of folks.
And those dates again are October 21st and 22nd, and then 28th and 29th. Tours go at 7 o'clock, 7:30, and 8 p.m., $15 per person. You definitely want to purchase ahead of time at ScottdaleHistoricalSociety.com. Anything else with Shadows of Scottdale, Ian, before I move on?
That's really all I can think of for Shadows, but it's going to be a great time. And like I said, we have a couple repeat stories, but we do have at least 5 new stories this year.
After October ends, what else can we look forward to from the Scottdale Historical Society through the end of 2022?
Yes, so we are very excited to announce that we are going to offer our Christmas house tours once again.
Hooray!
In person.
Yay!
Not as a virtual tour. Our townspeople are excited to open their homes up once again. I know visitors to Scottdale are anxiously awaiting to have this tour happen once again. So we are excited to bring that back. And we're still working on some of the details as far as which homes are going to be involved. But we will have anywhere from 5 to 6 homes on the tour, including the historic Laux homestead in Scottdale. And the actual date for the Christmas house tour is the first Saturday of December, which is December 3rd. And those tickets are also on sale now at ScottdaleHistoricalSociety.com, and they're available for $20 a piece.
Well worth it. I remember, I think 2019, was that your last in-person tour?
Correct.
So in 2019,
Yeah,
I had the privilege of going to 2 different homes that are located on the tour, as well as the Laux house, so I guess 3. You do not want to miss these houses. If Christmas and Christmas decorating are your thing, oh my, what a beautiful event to kind of close out the year. And Ian, my final question for you as we're nearing the end of our time here. Preserving local history is beyond important, and many people feel passionately about this topic. And of course, the Scottdale Historical Society does this through your events and through the work that you do preserving everything local. How can a member of the public turn this passion into action with your historical society?
The simplest thing is reach out to us. We hold meetings once a month, and we just try to do things to help benefit the community, coming up with fun events like our Shadows of Scottdale and Christmas house tours. These are huge fundraisers for us. Mm-hmm. We host events at the historic house as well, with day guests and groups that come in and rent our spaces from us, and then just doing fun research projects, talking about the history of the town, learning more from other individuals, and just compiling this information together is a huge thing. So just reaching out to us, wanting to get involved in any way. If maybe you're not a huge history buff, but you have a lot of interest in event planning, we'd love to talk to you. Mm-hmm. And especially as Scottdale is starting to move forward into making plans for its 150th anniversary celebration, which will kick off late in the fall of 2023 and encompass all of 2024.
Ian, so much exciting events and celebrations happening in Scottdale. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, thank you very much, Jessica. It's a pleasure to be on the air with you once again.
Please check out the Scottdale Historical Society at ScottdaleHistoricalSociety.com and on social media. This is Heritage Happenings, the show with the latest information on Westmoreland County cultural and historical events and organizations. I'm Jessica Petrovich. Thanks to our sponsor, St. Vincent College, for supporting our show today. Our next guest, Lauren Jones, Communications Coordinator for Westmoreland County Parks and Recreation, is joining us in the studio today. Lauren, thank you so much for being on today's show.
Thank you so much for having me.
First, Westmoreland County parks are some of the most beautiful destinations in our county. I personally love Twin Lakes and live close to it. For those who may not know, can you share the parks that your department oversees and where guests can enjoy those spaces.
Our bureau manages 11 parks and 5 trails in Westmoreland County, and there's a park or trail pretty much in everyone's backyard. Like you mentioned before, we have Twin Lakes in Greensburg, Mammoth Park in Mount Pleasant, Northmoreland Park in Apollo, Cedar Creek Park in Bell Vernon, Ann Rudd Saxman Nature Park in Greensburg, Chestnut Ridge and Acme Dam Park in Acme near Mount Pleasant, Bridgeport Dam Park, Sewickley Creek Wetlands in New Stanton Hempfield, the Loyal Hannah Gorge, which runs up through Ligonier, and we also newly acquired Sweet Hill Park in Hempfield and Greensburg. And we also have 5 trails for walking and biking and running. The Westmoreland Heritage Trail that spans 9 miles in the east, 9 miles in the west of Westmoreland County. We have the 5-Star Trail in Greensburg, the Coal and Coke Trail in Scottdale, Mount Pleasant, the Little Crabtree Creek Trail that runs out of Twin Lakes Park, and the Great Allegheny Passage Trail that runs through Cedar Creek Park in Bell Vernon.
So there is never an excuse to say, I don't know where to go outside.
Yes, there are so many spaces with amenities for everybody, pavilions, athletic fields, playgrounds, dog parks, sledding and tubing areas, walking paths and hiking trails, fishing, and so much more right in our own backyards.
And I love that you brought up a lot of winter sports too, because people get afraid to travel outside when it's snowing, but you can utilize, the county parks are open year round.
Correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong about that. Yes, they are. So please use them. We have county workers who work very hard to bring great programming and events the entire year. And I want to ask you about an upcoming event that I remember fondly looking forward to in my middle school and high school years. So this is the annual free Hobgoblin hikes. Can you share all of the details for this year's spooky events?
Sure. This year's Hobgoblin Hikes will be held at Mammoth Park on Saturday, October 22nd, and Northmoreland Park on Saturday, October 29th. And we alternate between 4 parks every year, and they are free events open to the public, although donations are appreciated. And these hikes are half-mile guided outdoor walks through the dark woods of the parks, and visitors can walk through 12 to 15 themed stations such as a clown room, a cemetery graveyard, a morgue, a witch's cauldron, a zombie apocalypse, a pumpkin patch, and much more. And no 2 hikes are exactly the same, and each park has different scenes. And these outdoor hikes are safe, fun alternatives to conventional trick-or-treating. No candy will be passed out, but feel free to dress up in costume to walk through. And we do recommend these hikes for kids ages 8 and above, as it can get a little scary. So parents are encouraged to come with their kids. And just a safety heads up, these hikes do run through the park, and they're not on paths and parking lots, so it may not be accessible for strollers and some wheelchairs.
Mm-hmm. And I also love that you mentioned that it's different every year, even if it rotates around to be in the same parks. That was the beauty of going as a teenager for me. You know, it just maintained the sense of, oh, you know, where's the chainsaw guy gonna come out? And I remember one year there was this structure that we went through that had mirrors and all these lights, and people were jumping out everywhere. So it's good for a scare. So if you're somebody who does not like to be scared, you may want to wait for a calmer Parks and Recreation event. But I just loved it, and it's really special that the Parks Department creates something like this for families too. And for someone in the community looking to be more involved in this Parks and Recreation system, you listed all of these locations throughout the county. So everybody who lives in Westmoreland is close to some park or trail. How can somebody go about being more involved with the community Parks and Recreation?
Well, people can support our parks and trails at our main fundraiser, the March for Parks. And this is our big event that fundraises for new projects, existing projects, to rehabilitate our existing parks. And we also use all the funds. They go directly into the parks, and we use it as match money for large grants. So this event is super important to our Parks Department. And for people who use use our parks every once in a while or every day, this is a great way to, support us and help us to build these fantastic facilities and amenities for everybody. So save the date, Saturday, March 25th, 2023 at Twin Lakes Park. We're going back to the one original location, and we will be celebrating Westmoreland County's 250th anniversary. This is our kickoff event for a year of celebration of our county's history. So there's going to be lots of surprises and lots of fun. So just stay tuned for that. All that information will come out at the beginning of next year.
I am so glad you teased that. I told Lauren before we recorded, we have another meeting coming up about Westmoreland 250. So next year is going to be the biggest year ever for Westmoreland County. And again, that date is Saturday, March 25th, 2023. And it's very important to know, this money is going towards projects and facilities that go back to members of the public. So it's like you're paying yourself. You can just think of it that way. And Lauren, anything else to share from the Parks and Recreation Department?
That's it. We hope everybody will come out to either Mammoth or Northmoreland Park for our Hobgoblin hikes, our last big events of the year, and come and enjoy our parks in this beautiful fall weather.
Lauren, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Please check out Westmoreland County Parks and Recreation at co.westmoreland.pa.us/parks, and you can also find them on social media. This is Heritage Happenings, the show with the latest information on Westmoreland County cultural and historical events and organizations. I'm Jessica Petrovich. Thanks to our sponsor, St. Vincent College, for supporting our show today. Our final guests, Denise Wilkins, Executive Director, and Alex Busato, Program Coordinator for the Jacobs Creek Watershed Association, are both joining us in the studio today. Denise and Alex, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Yep, thanks for having us.
First, so Denise, I will ask you, I would love to have you take us through a brief history of Jacobs Creek Watershed Association. If you could talk about the organization and then describe the watershed in general for those who aren't familiar, myself included.
All right. I kind of have these reversed. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about Jacobs Creek and where it is and where it goes.
Wonderful.
So, again, I want to thank you for having us on today. Jacobs Creek Headwaters starts up in the Chestnut Ridge in Acme. It then travels down the mountain into the Acme Dam, continuing its trek down the mountain into the Bridgeport Dam. Skirting the Green Lick Dam, it travels in between the boroughs of Everson and Scottdale, through the state game lands near Layton, PA, and finally into the town of Jacobs Creek, PA, where it finally meets the Youghiogheny. So we flow directly into the Youghiogheny.
Okay.
Now on to the Jacobs Creek inception part. Jacobs Creek Watershed Association, or JCWA as we acronym it, was founded by a concerned group of volunteers back in the early 1970s from the communities of Scottdale, Everson, and Mount Pleasant. Their concern was severe flooding along Jacobs Creek. They partnered with the Westmoreland and Fayette County Conservation Districts, the Scottdale Borough, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to fund and construct 3 flood control dams in the watershed. You may know these dams as the Acme Dam, the Bridgeport Dam, and the Green Lick Dam. So after the floodwaters were largely under control, the association gradually disbanded. By the 1990s, however, it was clear, though, that Jacobs Creek had issues beyond just controlling the floodwaters. Sedimentation from agricultural fields, acid mine drainage, or AMD from historic ties to coal, and erosion of the stream bank all prompted a need for additional projects and investment into Jacobs Creek. So Jacobs Creek's current vice president, Mike Barrick, he's still on our board.
Wow.
From like 1999, 1998. He is our current vice president, gathered a group of individuals and individual residents around 1999 to officially form Jacobs Creek Watershed Association as we know it today.
Great.
So since its official formation, Jacobs Creek has spearheaded efforts to secure funding for numerous stream and watershed improvement projects with the help of partners like the Fayette and Westmoreland Westmoreland conservation districts, local municipalities, businesses, landowners, and government agencies. JCWA has implemented over 20 watershed improvement projects and improved the health of miles of stream.
Wow.
In addition, we have and continue to conduct ongoing sampling efforts for water quality to help us make informed decisions toward future projects. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, JCWA hosts a variety of educational and recreational opportunities across our watershed to both inform the public on ecosystem topics and foster a love and respect for Jacobs Creek and its surrounding areas.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I was unaware of that entire history that you just went through. And you mentioned also, so the watershed itself runs through Westmoreland and Fayette counties.
Actually, the borderline is Jacobs Creek.
Oh my gosh.
Jacobs
so that
Creek pretty much, yes, Jacobs Creek pretty much forms the line between Fayette and, because Bridgeport Dam is in Westmoreland County and the Green Lick Dam, which they're not very far apart, is in Fayette County.
Oh, that's so fascinating. So this is an extremely important watershed for our area and for the greater Laurel Highlands region in general. And the programming that you do to bring awareness, like you just educated me completely on this, but there are ways to learn besides listening to shows like this, and we're entering the colder seasons of the year in Westmoreland County. So, Alex, I will turn to you and ask, what are some ways that families and community members can still learn about and enjoy the watershed during these colder months out of the year?
Yeah, definitely. So, as Denise mentioned, Jacobs Creek flows off of the Chestnut Ridge. We're a part of the Laurel Highlands, at least in our upper sections. So, the same sort of things you can do in various regions around the Laurel Highlands. Fishing, this time of year is especially great for going to view the leaves, and we have some really great spots in our watershed for that. In terms of when we're getting into winter more, there's some really good wildlife viewing opportunities at a lot of our different lakes. I myself am a pretty avid bird watcher, and I bird in our area quite often. Acme Dam is an especially good place to go, and we get a lot of waterfowl and things at Green Lick Dam. So if you're interested in wildlife, we have lots of opportunities for that, even through, the coldest times of the year. A lot of folks don't realize just how much is out and living during the dead of winter. So it can be kind of interesting to, explore a place you wouldn't otherwise. And also, we have fishing opportunities year-round. Parts of Jacobs Creek are stocked with trout. So as long as trout season is open, which I believe runs till the end of the year, you're able to fish in our water. We have ice fishing opportunities every once in a while in the winter on Green Lick Dam specifically, and so there's lots of different ways you can enjoy it. You can't really do much of the boating or much of the the swimming that some people do in the summer.
You can try really hard.
Yes, if you're into that, if you're into that, you can do one of those polar plunges that they have. So
and you mentioned too being able to view wildlife in this different setting, and I'd imagine that especially if you get snow coverage, you can see everything in a completely new light.
I myself am a wildlife photographer. I mostly do birds as my subjects. And the best part is there's no leaves blocking them anymore.
Right.
So you can finally actually see some of these guys in there that are like hidden during this time of the year when the leaves are still on the trees. So and we also get migratory waterfowl. We have over 300 species of birds that migrate through the Jacobs Creek watershed throughout the course of the year, and about 30 or so of those are waterfowl that show up in the winter. So Green Lick Dam is one of the best lakes in the region, at least in the birding community that I know of in the Southwest PA region. One of the best lakes that attracts all of these migrants. It's just a big open system, and it's unique because it's a man-made structure. We didn't have this prior to 1960, and so the fact that the wildlife has been able to come back and utilize this new resource is really kind of cool. We think about altering the environment in a negative light a lot of times, but there are things that we have done that can actually build new habitat for new species. It's kind of interesting.
That's wonderful to know, and especially I love learning about this niche community that's able to gather and use something that Jacobs Creek made happen, the Watershed Association.
Oh yeah, I have a group text that anytime I drive past Green Lake and there's stuff, I send out the messages and people come in, and it's a good times.
Well, and how we've just heard these events and the history behind this important organization. So how can interested members of the public get involved with the Watershed Association?
So we do a lot of events throughout the year. Not so many in the colder months, but one of the best and easiest ways is to just come to our events. Recreation-wise, we try to keep them as low cost as possible, but we do have fees to cover certain things, and that helps us, with our operation throughout the year. We have educational events, which we are committed to keeping completely free, so that's great for people to come and learn about these things. But also, at the end of the year, we can cash in through a series of grants on those educational hours to help us with our operating budget. And then more directly, we have several fundraising events and our membership program that directly supports the work that we do. A lot of our projects are funded by state and federal grants, so we don't use it so much for that, but our education and recreation programs are really what is lacking in terms of available funds. So that support from our membership throughout the year is really helpful with that. We also rely very much on volunteers. Denise and I are the only two full-time staff at our operation, so we can only do so much.
Right.
And sometimes we just need, hands to do the work for us. We just ran a tire cleanup event this past weekend, and that's something that two people can't do on their own. So we rely very heavily on volunteers. Our board of directors, they're completely volunteer, so they're a big help to us. The leadership of our organization, and then also the volunteers that come to our individual events.
Wonderful. Well, we are just about out of time already. And Denise, I'll end with you. Do you have anything else that you'd like to share from Jacobs Creek Watershed Association?
Yes, real quick. The best way, I just want everybody to know, the best way to keep up with Jacobs Creek Watershed Association is to follow us on Facebook. Okay. Our Facebook page is Jacobs Creek Watershed Association, I think is what it is. Or you can become a member. You can find us on the web at www.jacobscreekwatershed.org, and that's where you could become a member, and we would love to have you. And I do want to make sure that everyone knows that we are a nonprofit.
Yes.
So don't know if we mentioned that, but I just want to make sure everybody knows that we are a nonprofit. So we are strictly on, we always have to get funding.
Yes.
So, and then I just want to thank you for having us on today. Appreciate it.
Thank you both so much. And please check out the Jacobs Creek Watershed Association, as Denise mentioned, at jacobscreekwatershedAssociation.org and on Facebook. This is Heritage Happenings, the show with the latest information on Westmoreland County cultural and historical events and organizations. I'm Jessica Petrovich. Thanks to our sponsor, St. Vincent College, for supporting our show today. That's all we have time for today. Be sure to stay safe and healthy. Take some time to visit and enjoy our Westmoreland County cultural and historic sites and events. And of course, be sure to check out St. Vincent College and all of its recent accomplishments. Follow Westmoreland Heritage on social media and check out all of our information on westmorelandheritage.org. This has been Jessica Petrovich, your Discover Westmoreland director and host for Heritage Happenings here on 98.7 Westmoreland Gold, 1480 WCNS, and westmorelandgold.net, sponsored by St. Vincent College. Heritage Happenings is also available as a podcast on all of your favorite streaming services. I hope you've enjoyed today's show. Until next time.
How will your college experience transform you? How will you learn to make a difference in your life and the lives of others? At St. Vincent College, we attract high-achieving students who quite naturally place we ahead of me. A small college like St. Vincent gives you more access to the opportunities that will shape your future.
At St. Vincent College, we succeed together.
Discover the power of we. Learn more now at stvincent.edu.